Okay, thank you guys. So we have a lot of things to discuss and some really cool, neat announcements. So first, we'll just show this is the book that we're covering. You know, it's The Boy Who Followed His Father into Auschwitz by Jeremy Johnfield. So first, I wanted to preface this with it's in a really, really hard book to cover as far as material goes because it's so close to what we deal with right now. And there are so many different people and different viewpoints. And I think it's hard to be sensitive to those when it's so serious and we all worry so much about it. Um, and I feel so horrible for what happened to those people. My heart just bleeds for them. Um, when I went to Goodreads and I also went to Jeremy Drunfield's Instagram page and I read about what his purpose, he wanted the theme of the book to be, it was hope. So he believed what he was trying to convey by the true story was that the reason why Gustav survived at his age with his illnesses, with his frailness, and his wife dying was his hope. He constantly held on to that. That was something that he really, really wanted to focus on. So when I thought about concluding this, I really wanted to drive that home. However, it has been brought to my attention that this has been perceived as toxic positivity. And I just want to apologize for that because I hate toxic positivity. I deal with it at work constantly and it is so daunting. And I didn't want to go into this book with that. I gave two meetings of like a lot of really serious, hard topics. I thought we gave enough of the negative to end with something positive. And so I didn't want us all to leave this with this unresolved ick when that wasn't Jeremy Dunfield's point of the book. This was the story about the Kleinmans, particularly Gustav. It was his journal, and he survived on hope. So I do want to apologize if anybody took it as toxic and if they're in a hopeless situation and hearing about other people's hope was hard for them, then I will put timestamps in the comments on the YouTube video to where people can jump to get to the announcements because we're going to talk about some hope. Is that okay with you guys? I also replied to the people that came to me and said that they couldn't discuss hope or listen to hope. I replied with, it would be perfectly okay for you to discuss lack of hope, why you haven't been able to overcome certain circumstances. And that still was met with, no, not in the mood to hear anybody else's hope. So that's okay. This is a safe space. So just want them to know not coming is all right. Okay. So with that being said, I wanted to ask you guys, since it's just the three of us, and I love both of you so much. I'm glad we get to be here with you. Did you guys want to start with fun, like contest stuff and big announcements? Or did you want to start with the meat of the book questions? And you guys can you don't even have to mute yourselves. We can just have a conversation. It's just the three of us. So if you want to unmute, that's fine. And just tell me what your thoughts are.
I'm okay either way.
You're so laid back.
I am too, to be honest.
Okay, so we'll just go in the order of my notes because I get discombobulated with intention. Okay, so my first question was, did you guys have a favorite song or a quote or both? That either like hits you in the feels and makes you feel like, ooh, I can do this, or man, they're speaking to me at a level of where I was really hurting and this makes me feel better. Anything like that. And whatever you have saved, you can share. And if not, that's okay too. You want to go in alphabetical order like normal. So
okay.
start with Cody.
Okay. To be honest, I whenever I want to get in kind of like an upbeat dancing mood or like a singing mood, uh, I I love Paramore, the band as a whole. So probably anything by them.
Hits you at the heart. So, do you know that Haley Williams suffers with an autoimmune disease?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, so that affects a lot of her own input on the lyrics. And it's also why they don't tour as often as they did.
That
Um,
makes sense.
yeah, so she has,
I've wondered that.
yeah, a late in life, well, not late, she's not that old, but it didn't hit her until like the last 6 years. So that could be why you feel something because it's coming from a place of honesty for her. Um, and I agree.
I just love her. I've followed her like her whole YouTube, like before she was famous.
I adore her.
I loved her voice.
I love that. I love that. Do you have a quote
Um,
or a lyric quote? And if you don't have it prepared, that's cool. You can Google it on your phone now if you want to.
Honestly, Ain't It Fun is probably like my favorite. That's the one that comes to mind, and it's one of the ones that we sing in the car a lot.
I love that. I love that. She is well, they, I guess I should say because it's the whole band really, are on my theme playlist and it's one of the ones Brick by Brick is one of my very favorites. So I can totally it hits me in the feels too. How about you, Stephanie?
Okay.
So I would say a band that gives me hope, honestly, and I'm gonna go 80s hair metal here, okay? So the band Tesla,
Yeah.
and I listen to that when I'm stressed out or on my way home from work and having a panic attack. And then my favorite song by them is, wait, what is it called? Getting Better. That's one of my favorite ones.
Oh yeah. So
Because things are getting better every day.
yes. Oh, so back when they were really popular, I can remember thinking when he wrote Love Song, when they wrote Love Song, I thought, oh man, whoever lyrics this has been through some shit. You know what I mean? So like you can feel and hear in the voice like the pain and the way that they like are pushing through. So totally can feel that. Absolutely. So for me, one of my favorites is Rachel Patterson's fight song. She was like, "This is my fight song. This is my get my life back song." You know, I love that, and I try to stay in that lane because that keeps me like smiling. But if I'm going to be completely transparent here and I'm having a really bad day, I need to listen to something like Eminem. Like I need that anger positivity, like not afraid or his comeback, like, you know, guess who's back again. And even one of his videos, he's like shaking salt off his shoulder, like he's not salty anymore. Like I think there's a point of pain that you can like use it and flip it. So that was mine. And then my quote. Oh, Stephanie, I didn't ask you, honey. Did you have a quote?
From the book?
No, any kind of hope quote.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So I like the quote that's attributed to Winston Churchill, if you're going through hell, keep going and never, 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 ever give up. I like those. And mine might be toxic positivity. I don't know. I just feel like if you're going through bad stuff, there's always something good to look at because hope is important. No matter what you're going through, health or you just lost somebody. I mean, it's okay to get down, but something has to bring you through it.
I know you personally, and I know how much pain you suffer with physically. And I also know about you losing your mother in a really hard, traumatic way. And I know how much pain you carry. Um, and I watch you constantly, over and over again, meet that pain with some type of silver lining. Even me and my little dark days and realism, I'm like, no, I wouldn't have chose the Midnight Library. I would have just, you know, let me go type of thing. You're always like, no, I want to find a way. And it's just like, I admire that so much in you. I don't feel like that's toxic when it's your core personality. Does that make sense? There's a difference. It's not fake. And I think the fakeness is what makes it toxic, in my opinion. I think you can be positive and be real about it. And I think you can be positive and be fake because you want to put on a show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
When you're so genuine, I just don't think it could ever be derived that way. My favorite quote is from Silverstein. That's my favorite poet as a child. But Where the Sidewalk Ends was always one of my favorite books. I think all the way to high school, even. I still own it. It's tattered and everything, but my favorite one, and I try to tell myself this all the time, is listen to the mustn'ts, child. Listen to the don'ts. Listen to the shouldn'ts, the impossibilities, the won'ts. Listen to the never have. Then listen close to me. Anything can happen, child. Anything can be. And so for me, when I when I look at Gustav and I look at myself and I'm facing something really insurmountable, which I have been, I'm such a fight. I don't know if I'm positive like you, Stephanie. I don't want to say it comes from where I'm going to find the silver lining, but I think it comes from this is going to beat me type of thing. You know, I find my positivity in my pain. And so that always tells me like there's always a possibility to get around this. There's always got to be, if I fight hard enough, but sometimes we'll get to that. Sometimes you can't. So the next question was for show and tell, do you have a story where something really hard happened to you and somehow over time or right when it was happening, you were able to spin it to something that made you better or was able to get through? And I'll start with you.
So when it does pertain to me, as a baby, I was a young baby. I don't know if I told you guys this.
You a little.
Yeah, I was taken away at birth. So they did that, and I was addicted to pretty much everything you can think of. So I went through rehab for the first 6 months of my life, and I only made it through like a couple days with one foster home, and then I ended up going to another foster home, and that turned out to be my now grandmother because her daughter adopted me. And I was supposed to have withdrawal syndrome, which was like supposed to be socially withdrawn, not able to like make connections with people, mentally challenged. I wasn't supposed to have like the knowledge and be able to grow as I am as a person because of this. And my grandmother prayed to God and ended up having a dream where they said to put a mirror in my crib. And so she did, and that made me kind of like self-aware to where I could see myself and know that, I'm not alone. And that would make like desensitize me to the situation. Like I couldn't be around loud noises, people couldn't touch me, I had to be in a dark room. I'd break out into bleeding, hives and stuff like that. And there was only a few people that could be around me and take care of me. And my grandmother was one, my adoptive mom and dad were another, and then my grandfather was one. So it's like they were kind of like my people to bring me out of that. And because of that, that is one of the methods they use for withdrawal babies. They didn't have the methods back then to bring those babies out of that. It's unknown. So she brought out a method for it. And because of what she did with me, she's been able to help thousands of babies with withdrawal syndrome.
Oh my God. Wow. Were you premature or were you to full term?
I was full term, apparently.
Wow. Wow. Um, I you that's astronomical. So I know several friends that were born addicted. However, they didn't get the treatment in the way that you did and had a safe space sort of to heal. And they've struggled with addiction their whole life, and they have had, and one's passed away, unfortunately, from her addiction. You beat odds that, I mean, honestly, the statistics are not great. And look at you, you just shining and
Yeah,
bright.
I'm a social butterfly. Like I love
Wow.
talking to people. I love learning. Like I've been in the medical field for like 10 plus years. I'm smart and I can keep relationships and develop friendships. And that's all because of them.
That is miraculous. So, I had a little bit about me. I had some neglect, and I was taken from my, you know, situation, and my grandparents pretty much had permanent custody. And I still suffer with attachment disorder, avoidant attachment disorder. So I have hyperfixated jump reaction. I don't like to be touched unless it's been like consented. And I struggle sometimes on a personal level with people. So the fact that you even overcame that with that kind of, also what I find very fascinating, and I'm so sorry, I don't mean to pick your brain, I'm just curious. I have a lot of friends who were adopted, even ones that did not weren't addicted and came from great homes. They mentally struggle with still with the abandonment of the original parent, where, and I mean, they have serious mental health conditions where it's hard for them to thrive. So I'm curious, as you've grown, and seeing you as you are, and the way you interact and express yourself, is there anything you've done outside of your childhood, like maybe like any type of therapy, or is this just part of who Udi is?
I have done a little bit of therapy, only a few things, but to be honest, this is kind of like who I am.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's been a lot of trial and error and learning process. It's been a long road to I especially the last couple of years too. It like I've only been sober really about a year now. So it's yeah, I went through my addictions. I even though like my sister is in Colorado, I have no idea. She has her phone, no nothing. All I know is that she was addicted to something.
Oh wow.
So we all have like our little vices and stuff. And so like, they live with our birth mother the longest. I was taken first. So like I get to see the stages too. And that's also helped me realize like, hey, I don't want to do things like this. I want to, I've never really done smoke pot. That's about it. But they've done both of my sisters and heroin and hardcore stuff.
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, thank you so much for being so vulnerable, because that's some really hard stuff. I have fear of that. So, my mom, I really don't think to her fault of her own, but she had seen a psychiatrist who started her on benzos. She'd always liked to experiment with drugs. She was in the 60s and 70s, and she was a hippie and free love and everything, but she wasn't an addict. But he just kept piling psych med upon psych med on her to try to make her feel better, to where she became an addict. People can deny that reality all they want because she's gone. And so it's really hard to talk about somebody who's passed on in an unfavoring, like, she's a beautiful human being. But she was an addict. And I know that my grandmother's father was an alcoholic, died from alcoholism. And I worry because I have a very addictive personality. I wouldn't have made it to 390 pounds when I was without one, you know? So hearing you speak about it and watching you overcome it, knowing you come from addiction, you know, in your bloodline as well, that's hope. That's what hope does. So thank you.
Exactly.
It's
Thank
beautiful.
you.
I get
I
goosebumps.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's been a struggle, but I'm proud of myself. It was July 27th was the last time I had work, and I almost died. And my husband, if it wasn't for him, I would not. Um, I would think I'm like a month sober now,
I'm so
but
glad that I know you.
I'm so happy. Like I don't even know. I feel like my body wants it, but my mind is like, what to do? And
I
so, and then having you guys really helps me too, because hearing your stories and hearing what you guys go through, it gives me as well.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Sorry, I don't mean to make
Okay, it really does. It really does. And that's all I ever wanted with a safe space. Was that you could find people where we would have a place to express these things because they come up all the time and it can be really lonely. Um, and I think as people who have that like generational trauma or whatever it is, body makeup to have addiction, I think our bodies are always going to crave a fix if there's a way that our brain can like overcome it or find better ways to deal with it, you know? And just knowing that you've done that, it's miraculous. It beat the odds. You, you're a little miracle. So knowing more about you and hearing that, just thank you. Thank you.
Oh, I got tons of stories,
Me,
girlfriend.
me too. I told Gwen before I said, can you give me one that is not going to scare anybody? Because sometimes my stories are so hard and so bad that people will literally look at me with this face of, you know, and for me, it's such a natural thing to just word vomit this stuff because it's been happening repetitively my whole life. It's like the sky's blue, and you know, me giving you horrific events that happen, it's not much different because I've said it so many times. But for somebody who's never heard it, you know, so I could go. Me too. I had to narrow it down to one that I thought was the best in the most digestible. I think you picked a really good one, even though I want to know more. I really do.
You
Um,
will. I'm sure as time goes on, you'll learn more.
uh, I could just spend hours picking your brain because your goals for me. So thank you. Big time where I would like to be. Now, Stephanie, I know I see you and I think that you're a little walking, talking miracle yourself. But I would like other people to know, and I'd like Udi to know any of the ones you want to share.
Okay. And congratulations, Udi, on your sobriety. That's exciting. And you may not feel like that's very long, but you know what? Even one day of sobriety is a miracle too. And I'm so glad that you're in this group and I love hearing stuff about you. And you're a walking miracle too, because that's just amazing. Um, so I'm gonna go with 2021 was a really hard year for me. Um, so I actually started becoming paralyzed and they didn't know why. They didn't know that I had an autoimmune disorder at the time, and they think that it attacked my spine. So I had to go to the rehab hospital, and I was hospitalized about 4 months that year because it's not just that thing that put me in the hospital. So I had to relearn to do everything and walk, talk. I was having aphasia really bad, and it was just a lot of therapy, a lot of PT, OT. It was like 3 times a week. It was outpatient, and then I ended up getting an infection, and I ended up with sepsis, I had to have a bowel surgery. It was just a really big mess, and I honestly thought I was gonna die. It was the hardest thing I had ever been through before because it was just one hit after another, and I just kept fighting through it. I was in the hospital for about a month. I had to be put on TPN,
And I kept fighting with you.
and it was really scary. So I mean, I'm thankful that my mom was with me at that time. She was my person to come to the hospital. Robert was like, let your mom do it because you need your mom. I needed him too, but you know, knowing now that mom was going to be gone,
I knew what was going to happen.
that was nice.
Yeah.
So she was there for me. That was definitely the toughest year that I had ever had because I had never had sepsis before, and that was hard.
That was the year that we became friends on Facebook.
Mhm.
I thought I was looking back on that, and I thought the reason that we became friends was because our moms both had suffered from pancreatic cancer, but it isn't. We became friends from an autoimmune disorder group, and started talking about palpitations. I looked back and finally found the messages that we had, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we both were having autoimmune. I have POTS, post-orthotic tachycardia, and I would get palpitations, but she was having palpitations too. And we were both up with it and we were chatting about it. And I remember that year so vividly. And I remember watching you. It was like every time that you got like one leg up on one of your things, you got clobbered with something new. It was like, and that you had to go to like a rehab and then back to the hospital. And then I was just like, oh my God, is she gonna be okay? Like, what's gonna happen here? It just keeps getting, you know. And then when they finally got your diagnosis and they said you got over your sepsis and you got on the medication and things, it was like you changed everything about you, not just physically, like your mindset. And I was really wondering, like, is she going to get mentally worse from this? She's going to have trauma from being in the hospital this long. She's going to have PTSD. I was really concerned, but you didn't. You got like mentally better from that situation. I don't know if it's the bonding you had with your mom, the answers you got while you were there, the treatment. But like since then, instead of taking this horrific year, and after that, your mom passed. Instead of just letting that destroy you, you did something and bloomed. I don't really know how you have you you keep getting better all the time. So things like you do your job is getting better and you're taking on more responsibilities and you've made more friends and you and Robert's relationship has gotten so much stronger and like you could have taken that illness, RA, which and you have it pretty severely. They have to treat it all the time. And losing your mom, that could have been easily enough to put somebody in some sort of deep despair, like no hope. And here you are, like little tiny things with me. And I'm like, it's been the worst day ever. You find like, and you go through all this stuff, and it's just like, I'll message you having a panic attack about some health issue. And you'll be like, yeah, I have to have an infusion and I have pleurisy for the third time and I'm super sick. And I'll just be like, I'm talking to her about, you know, something that I could easily fix with Tylenol. And she's, but you always make time and space for people. The way you've handled this, I just don't know many. I honestly don't know anybody who's done that. It's just it's why I love you so much. It's why I keep you close to circle. It's why you're like a sister to me. The bonding over our moms leaving this world too, but like the way you handle your everyday life and like you talk about driving, panic attacks and things, and you still do it. You still get up every day and you amaze me. You're just a beautiful human. You really are. Both of you are. I was really hoping more people would be able to hear your testament because I knew it. And I hope they watch the video and get to see it because if anybody wants proof of, I'll be honest with you, the messages I got were from people who are chronically ill and they don't feel like they have any hope. And so, but you are full of it. You are an embodiment of hope, and you're chronic. You have RA forever, but you keep fighting for new solutions and new ways to feel better. And you take care of yourself, and you do these clean eating things, and you go to the gym, and you work on your. There's two different ways to deal with it. You know,
I didn't have,
you don't
I
have
didn't,
hard days.
yeah, so it wasn't easy. I mean, there were times where I felt like unaliving myself,
I remember.
where it got really tough. But Robert helped me through it, and my mom did too, and my friends and my family. It's been tough, but it breaks my heart that what you're talking about, the other chronic illness people don't have hope, and that hurts. And I really wish that, you know, anybody can message me. I don't care. I'll listen to you.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
I want somebody to be there for them that I didn't have at some of my toughest moments before, I had Robert and everything. It was really tough and lonely.
I tried to encourage. That's why I said you could still come and share your story on not having hope, and that in my own way of thinking, maybe they'll hear your testament and or Udi's testament or mine, and know that there is a little sliver somewhere. Um, we only have, like you said about being sober a year. For me, that's a huge freaking deal. Okay, so like I haven't binged ate in a year. And every day I wake up is a choice. Every bite is a new decision. Um, all we have is today. That's the only guarantee we have. So whether it's a year, one day, 10 years, we got through today, right? Like we're warrior women. We are badass warrior women out here just hoping and thriving. And that's how I truly believe Gustav got through that horrific match he was in, because his odds were horrible. They were not in his favor. I mean, they just weren't. So thank you. So I'm so emotional. I'm kind of like shaking inside. I'll give you a little, a lighter one, but one that I always tell you guys my favorite quote from As Good as It Gets about how, some people have stories of noodle salads and picnics, just nobody in this fucking car does. I haven't been able to flip all of my trauma into something positive, so being completely real, but this is one that I have. So that's the one we're going to go with. So when I was 24, I got pregnant and had a miscarriage, and then got pregnant again 6 months later. The first time was unintentional. I had no idea I was pregnant. I lost the baby after 8 weeks, had no clue. I was so sad. The loss was hard because I've always wanted to be the mother. Little girls dream of their weddings or of a career, thousands of things. All I have ever wanted to be was a mom. That's it. Only biggest dream I've ever had. And I'm still not one. And I'm 46. So I'm finally coming to the terms with the fact that that's just not biologically going to be in the cards for me. But that's okay. I'm finally starting to digest and accept. But after that, I wanted to get pregnant. Now, once I knew I could get pregnant, I wanted to. So I did. And I made it to my 6th month. And I lost the baby. And had to birth the baby. And it was really, really hard. Really, really dark. Probably the hardest day, I would say, probably hardest day of my life. I had named the baby. We had a baby room, like 6 months, you know. So With that being said, I was in the point of despair where you had said, Stephanie, I had some thoughts of unaliving. I had just felt the baby kick. Um, and so now looking back, I think that was her way of saying goodbye. Anyway, good story time, part of this. I was hopeless, right? And I had a cat named Penelope, and she was just funny and wonderful, and she was obsessed with Tinkerballs. And so I said, Mommy's really sad. I'm going to go to the pet store. I'm going to go get you some Tinkerballs, and I come home, we're going to play. I'm sorry for being in bed for 4 days, type of thing. So I get to the pet store. It's Jack's Aquarium. They don't normally sell any kind of animals there. It's just like animal supplies. And when I walk in, there are these little, like, I thought they were like guinea pigs. But as I get closer, this woman's at the counter holding one, and I'm like, oh my God, what do you have? Honey, it was a dog. It was a Jack Russell Terrier Chihuahua mix. And she was holding her, and she had ginger hair and big brown eyes. And I just instantly felt this soul connection. Here she was $400. And I did not have $400 at the time. And I remember thinking, I cannot leave here without this dog. So I adopted her, and I named her Penny Lane after my favorite Beatles song. And that dog was so human. She carried baby spoons around in her mouth and would bring them to me to put her food on them. She had chronic illness. She had severe anxiety. She had to take Xanax. She had pancreatitis. She had kidney disease. She was a slew of things. Because she was a puppy mill dog, and that's why they were there. So I didn't know I was getting this type of dog. I had no idea I was going to have this dog. So I had her for 17 and a half years. I saved her life 5 times. Almost died on me 5 times. Saved her life. I couldn't leave her. She was on thousands of medications. Gave her IV fluids at home. Took vet tech courses to keep her alive. I thought I gave up so much of my life for this dog. I sacrificed so much to care for her financially, and I lost family members because of her. I chose her over friends. I thought, I thought there's no way if this dog passes, I'm not going to survive. This is my daughter. This is my daughter reincarnated, and she's not going to be here forever. I really believe this. And after Gwen met her when she was 14 and a half. I don't know if you guys know anything about Gwen, but she studies how to walk people through the end of life. So she's doing art therapy. She's taken care. She's walked so many people through hospice. So many people. She's beautiful at it. I didn't know it at the time, but she was here to walk Penny to the end of her life. And Penny hated everyone but me. And she instantly fell in love with Gwen. And I thought, this is so bizarre. None of this ever clicked to me at the time. Like, I lost my dog, 14 and a half years. My very best friend is in love with this woman. But they were so bonded. Anyway, she made it 3 years to be with Gwen. She lived with you 17 and a half. And she got brain cancer. And she was having severe seizures. And the vet said, Billy, you can't bring her back from this. You're gonna have to let her go. And as she was dying, I told her, I've given up all my chances of living life for the last 17 years for you, so me and you could survive. We had each other. I took care of you. I was here for you. You're my daughter. I love you. So to honor you, I'm going to live life to the fullest. I'm going to lose this weight, and I'm going to go out there and live, because I'm going to carry you with me. You're going to be watching from the Rainbow Bridge, and I'm going to go out there and experience everything you and I couldn't. Because we spent 17 years of you being sick, baby, but mommy's going to go live for you. I'm not going to let this kill me. I'm not going to die from this like I thought I would. And the night that she passed, I still had to work. My attendance was bad because as she was dying, she was sick so much they couldn't leave her side. And a caller called in, and her name was Penny Lane. So I think that was her saying, hey, Mama, I'm on the other side, and it's time to get started on living. So in order to do that, I was 300 I probably was at 400. My scale doesn't go to that. And I'm only 4'11". So I started a diet. I've lost 140 pounds. It still has a lot to go. I'm going to have the gastric bypass. But in the year and a half that Penny's been gone, I've done everything I've ever dreamed of. And every single time I do it with her. I tell her, here's our next adventure, baby girl. I'm gonna take you on the way. And so I could have used that and thought, I lost the only daughter I was ever gonna get. And I thought a part of me was gonna die with her. I really did. Somehow, some way, I didn't. I didn't. And I'm thriving in the same way that you both are, somehow, miraculously. And I really do believe that she watches. I really do think so. She's in little hidden messages. I get pennies all the time now. What better way of my dog named Penny Lane to send little pennies from heaven, you know? I do think there is a way, as hard as it is, to take really bad trauma, flip it some and hold on to it. And maybe it's all in my head. Maybe it is toxic positivity, but fuck it. I get up every day and live life for that dog, like I didn't let whatever you got to do with it, find your purpose, right? So that's my story on it. And that's the one that I've actually been able to like heal from and not mourn anymore. Like I stop by her, I write her letters to update her at her little rainbow box that I have. And I'll tell her we're going to be going on a trip soon. And I'm like, send mommy messages if you want to do anything while we're gone so that I can experience it for you and stuff like that. Like, that's my story on that. So she dying was a reborn for me. And so I stand here now since the day she passed, not binging, and 130 pounds smaller and okay. And I thought I was going to die with her. So I think it's possible for anybody, whether it's loss, like with your mom, or abandonment, adoption, or illness. We can do it, right? We did. So now that we've all gotten really emotional, and I will timestamp that because I don't know if everybody can hear that. And I'm so sorry. I do want to say that. I am so sorry that so many members are in a place like that because I've been there. We all have, and this was supposed to be a place where they could heal. I'm sorry they don't feel safe to do that. And I hope they'll tell me how I can make that better for them because that's all I want. Well, moving on, I wanted you guys to share your favorite quote from the book. If there was anything, now mind you, I went back to Goodreads looking for something positive. It was hard. The quotes on Goodreads were hard to find something positive, but there was one from Gustav. So I'm wondering if we all have the same one. I'll start with Udi and see what you have.
Mine, I have 3.
Oh, good.
So the first one was in chapter 20 from the End of Days. It was, brothers, you are free. And that struck me as happy because after all this time, they're finally free. And then there was an afterword by the author at the end. It was, we strengthen each other. We're one, inseparable. And that was, I believe, something that Fritz had said about him and his dad. And then the last one, it was in the epilogue for Jewish Blood. And it just made me laugh because it was pertaining to Fritz wouldn't speak to anyone who had sided with the Nazis. They were mystified by this. And one of the neighbors who had betrayed them to the SS actually complained to Gustav. Your son won't say hello to us. Willful ignorance about the Shoah was so entrenched by this man couldn't begin to grasp, that he wouldn't say hi to him. Like, I wouldn't want to say hi to you either, dude. Like, you betrayed my family, and we went through almost 6 years of hell because of it. And we lost mom and our middle sister because, yeah, those were my three.
I love that. I love those. When they said that they were free and the fact that they kind of like we have bonded through their pain. Sort of. Overcoming, there's something to be said for that. It's a different type of friendship. It really is. And his loyalty, he was fiercely loyal. Fritz ended up being my favorite character. How about you, Stephanie?
So, my favorite one from the end would be when Gustav and Joseph were in the forest, and finally they sunk down. Gustav looked about him, gazed at the sky, and inhaled the air, or inhaled the fur-scented air. The very smell, it gave him joy. It was the scent of liberty, finally free, he wrote in his diary, because there wasn't the smell of death and decay and all of that anymore. And then another quote that I liked, and this was from our second meeting, but
Mhm.
I didn't get to say it. Page 225, they cannot grind us down like this. His papa always said endurance was everything. Misery was only for a time. Hope and spirit were undying.
That hit me too. Yes, I remember. I remember that hit me too. That was such a good one. Such a good one. I look at him in awe. I still quite can't wrap first I totally get, okay? Like, I know what it's like to fight for someone you love, right? Like, and I know Gustav, he was doing that too, but it was a personal experience for him, an achievement. Like, he never wavered his hope. Even when he thought Fritz was dead, he still kept going. So you can't say he was only living for Fritz, where Fritz generally was living for Gustav. That part I genuinely can get. I still can't quite wrap my mind around the sheer will this man had. Like, that is just unfathomable to me. And I really thought that was what we were supposed to. I'm hoping that's what we were supposed to pull from. That's so rare. For me, my favorite thing was okay. It took strength of character to share and love in a world where selfishness and hate were common currency. And I guess I kind of based this meeting on that. Like, there's so much hate around us, but I just wanted a sliver of good for people to hold on to. These conversations that we have, I'll be thinking about all next week and like just inspired by you both. And so honored to know you when we've all faced things that could have taken us out, you know? Um, so we have fun things to talk about now. So this will be my timestamp part. Um, First thing is Stephanie won the National Book Lovers Day that we had. Let's read. So the book that you won is Broken Wish. That's headed to you from Amazon. Patricia won the wheel spin. She couldn't come. She messaged me. Hers was not about chronic illness. She had to work over. So she's supervisor, somebody called off. But the reason why she chose the book was because it's free on Kindle Unlimited, and it's in her genre of books to be recommended because she loves like true horror, true thriller. And at first, when me and Stephanie and everybody else was talking about the book or whatever, I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be hard after what we just read. But it is such a different style of writing. It's like you don't want to stop. You need to know. Where there was a sense of, oh God, I don't know if I can read another page. This is so hard. It hurts so bad. Where this is like, I got to figure out how this happens type of thing. So I think that at first I thought, oh Lord, Patricia, what have you done to us? We're going to go through another existential, like people dying type of thing. But this is going to be totally different experience in the way it's written. And I think that's why she decided to choose it. Best attendance is just you two. Jenny was going to be in it, and she was going to be my rookie, but she chose not to come, and that's okay. She has a lot going on, and I know you both know that. And if you ever want to reach out to her, she's been honest in our meetings about her health issues. She's struggling, and all the love and light to her. I did want to let her know that she could come and share that, and we would make space for it, but she just couldn't bear to do it. So that's okay. But so since you two are my only two, you can go to the Redbubble site and you can pick anything you want. There are 6 different designs. There's going to be 2 more after tonight. So if you want to wait until tomorrow to pick, that's fine too. Let me know. Just send me a picture of what you want. They have everything, like dog stuff, cat stuff, shower curtains, bedspreads, blankets, pajamas, socks, hats, shirts, any color you want, any size stuff. Both of you, hands down. I would have been so sad if nobody came. I would have felt so defeated. And the fact that you showed up and I got to see your beautiful smiling faces and the things that you shared, we're not going to even do a wheel to pick because you both deserve it so much. And it's not just this meeting, it's every meeting. So it says a lot about both of you, and thank you. You've made book club amazing for me. So that's that. Those were those 2 announcements. And then the next thing is MVP. It can be anybody. They do not have to attend the meetings or every meeting. It's just whoever helped you process this book best. So you guys know the drill for that. I'll put the nomination post in our Facebook page right after this, and we can nominate who wins. And then they'll get the book if they don't already have it, or they'll get an Amazon gift card. And then I think we had Erin making a little blind date with a book for the rookie. But in order to win rookie, you have to come to every meeting as a new member for that read. So I think whoever gets MVP will also get that little rookie surprise or whatever. She makes these, Stephanie has one, and so do I, crocheted book sleeves that are just absolutely beautiful and so cool to stuff in your purse and your book doesn't get dented. And she does these little fun things with it. So she's excited to do them. So I don't want to take it away from her. And then here's the 3 big announcements. First thing is, because this book has been such a mind, for lack of better words, fuck, what we're going to do is whoever hasn't had a chance to pick a book so what Erin had, was my idea. Whoever has had a chance to pick a book will be able to put a book into a voting system. So what you'll say is, but neither of you have, right? Oh, great example. So our first week on September 1st is starting Patricia's book. We're going to put a post in Cozy Corners Club saying, what book would you choose to read next for the whole group? And then we're going to have every person vote on which one of those books they want to read next. That way we have more people interested in the next read, because emotions wax and wane. So, the more people might be feeling one vibe over another. And then whoever gets chosen, they'll be taken out of that next time when we put people in. So it'll be like a process of elimination, and then we'll start back over at 1. So I thought that might be cooler for us versus a random thing. And that was Erin's idea, to put it in the first week. So you guys get 2 full weeks to vote before we announce the new book. That way everyone gets to chime in, because we have 100 members in there and you want to make sure everybody sees it. And we're going to pin it at the top of the page. The other thing is Big vibes on meetings being longer than an hour. Other than the very last meeting of the book, everything will be done for the meeting to be, every measure will be taken in the meeting at 9 p.m. That way, nobody has to lag over unless they want to. The caveat to that is I will go live on TikTok for people who need someone to hold space for them. And if nobody shows, that's cool. But if more people want to discuss for longer, I'll be there and we can all chat over there. Next thing is there was another one. Okay. I think that's it. The only last one is so I have an upcoming surgery. I'm trying to get my surgeon to bump it to November. Because I don't really want to miss all of October. And it's my favorite month, my anniversary month, everything. But anyway, we'll see what he says. Right now it's scheduled for October 2nd. Because of that, and because Erin has children and a lot of responsibilities, we've decided to add Stephanie as an admin. So she's in training as an admin assistant right now while I'm still here. And there may come a time where we're going to need another one. So Udi, that would be definitely if you would be interested, please let me know. Because it may fall just on Stephanie and it's a lot for her to just take on. I don't want you to think you guys have to take on the financial aspect of it. That will still fall on me. I will order all the prizes and things. It would just be running groups. Udi, if you have interested, if Stephanie gets overwhelmed, it will be Stephanie's choice to reach out to you and say, hey, please, can you help me a little bit?
Reach out to me. I am so down.
Yay. I just don't want to leave anybody alone in this process because it can be a lot.
I understand. Yeah, I can see how it could be overwhelming, and I'm totally down, girl.
Oh, good. So you have a backup person, Stephanie, if you need help.
Yay! Okay.
To reach out. But we chose Stephanie because you've been here you were one of the first people to join me and Erin since we had left our other book. Well, they left us. We were the only two left. And so we restarted. And Stephanie was one of the first people to join, and you've never missed one single meeting. And you always have amazing input. And you won MVP, I think, 3 times or second time, and you've already taken over Music Maven responsibility. You're making our playlist now. So you kind of already had started to, wiggle in there. And when me and Erin were like, what are we going to do when I have surgery? We both thought Stephanie's already kind of starting to take on some roles. Let's see if she wants to do it. And she did. So that's great. And now you have a little wing person in case it's too much, because it can be a lot. And you may just need somebody to bounce ideas off of, like I do Erin all the time. So those are our biggest announcements. The last thing is we're going to read, this book has 12 chapters. And I thought about, should I just be a 2-weeker and we just split it? But I think the book is a fast read, but it's such a big concept that I thought we'll try it doing it in 3. So we'll do the end of chapter 4, and then, split it up that way like we normally do. If we get to next week and we're like, guys, we got to finish this book. It's too hard to, you can't pump my brake anymore. We'll finish it in 2 weeks. But right now, we'll just go to the end of chapter 4. And I think that's it, unless you guys have any input, questions about the announcements, or anything you'd like to say to people who may be watching, anything like that. No?
Well, I know that this book was a very hard read, but if we don't read it, we won't be educated for, the future. And, those camps are still around. You never know what can happen. So better to know now and be prepared if anything like that happens,
I agree.
Know what to look forward to. I didn't think the book was bad. I thought it was well written.
it's just a hard topic that we covered. I would still give this book a 4 out of 5.
Yeah,
it's really
I'm
good.
same boat. I think
would
I
too.
did give it a 4 on Goodreads
Yeah,
just because it was, a little, but it is the only book that the guy did like actual research on, and all aspects of the book is true. And it's hard to come by that. A lot of people would use their imagination. Like he said, he goes, I almost made it nonfiction just so that I could, get it published.
yeah. I think it's good that he didn't. I think it's really good that he didn't. How about you, Stephanie? Do you have anything you'd like to share?
So I'm on track with what Udi's saying. It was a really hard read, but with the with the political climate now, it's good to actually read a little bit of what has happened, so so at least we know and can be prepared, and we can see different viewpoints. That's very important, so that we all can try to understand where somebody's coming from. Understanding is the most important thing. Reach for understanding. I actually learned that from Robert. I've,
I love that. I've learned that from him too. He has really opened my eyes to that, and his input is always so appreciated, and his guidance, because I get very emotional, and he can kind of pull us back from that. Like, okay, guys, you're getting into some scary material here. I hope I didn't. That's the last message that I want to give. Obviously, I think it's very apparent that I consider myself a socialist, middle of the line type of person, but as far as this election goes, I'm leaning towards the less scarier option. I don't want to offend anybody who is voting the opposite way. I'm not judging them, and I hope I didn't drive that towards anybody in the group that was. And you have my apologies if I did. It's just so scary and so serious to me with it being who I am as a person. So I'm excited to go forward. I hope people, I do have suggestions this week as well, to see if anybody has any other ideas on making things a little, I don't know, just easier. So we'll see. But otherwise, I just adore the holy shit out of both of you. I love you. Thank you so much for sharing and being here and being my little book besties. Erin, that's another good thing. Erin has made time and space that she will be here every Sunday, unless there's a child emergency. So that'll be good too. Otherwise, see you guys next week, and good luck. Happy reading. And message me or anybody else that may be struggling.
Sounds good.
Thanks,
It was so
guys.
much fun.
Bye.
Can't wait till next week.
Yeah.
Bye.
I know.
Let's go Faith and Nicholas for me.
I will.
Bye.
Bye.